Welcome back to the USI Career Excellence Series. My name is Megan O'Connor, and I'm a career coordinator here in the USI Career Success Center. This is part 6 of our series. So far, you've built strong application materials, established your online presence, launched your job search, and started building your network. Now the calls are coming in. Today, we're getting you ready for the interview, from phone screens all the way through panel interviews. Let's make sure you walk in prepared and walk out confident. Here's the truth about interviews. They're predictable. The same questions come up over and over. The difference between candidates who get offers and those who don't is almost always preparation. So today we'll be covering the types of interviews you're most likely to face, the STAR method for behavioral questions, using AI to predict questions in practice, field-specific questions for your program, handling difficult questions with confidence, and questions to ask your interviewers. By the end of this session, you'll have a complete interview preparation system. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's take a look at our roadmap to see where we are in our webinar series journey. You've officially completed Phase 1, establishing your professional brand. In Parts 1 and 2, we focused on your core document creation. In Parts 3 and 4, we focused on your digital presence and job search strategy development. And in Part 5, we focused on strategic networking. Today, we're going to be moving on to Phase 2, Mastering the Market and Advancement. We're going to start with Webinar 6, which is focused on mastering diverse interview formats before we continue on our journey completing the rest of our career portfolio documents and strategies. So let's get started. Now let's talk about the modern interview landscape and what you're going to face. Most hiring processes include multiple interview stages. The first is usually a 15 to 30-minute phone screen with HR or a recruiter. They're checking basic qualifications. Do you meet the requirements? Are you in the right salary range? Are you available when they need you? This is a screening, not a deep dive. Your goal: don't get eliminated. Be professional, confirm your qualifications, and express enthusiasm. Behavioral. This is where most decisions are made. 45 to 60 minutes with the hiring manager. The premise is simple. Past behavior predicts future performance. They'll ask you to describe specific situations from your past. Tell me about a time when is the classic opener. And we're going to spend a bit more time on this today. Technical or case interviews. Depending on your field, you might face skills assessments. MBA candidates might get case studies. Healthcare candidates might get clinical scenarios. Education candidates might be asked to teach a sample lesson. And finally, panel interviews. Multiple interviewers at once, common in healthcare, education, and government, typically do panel interviews. Each person is evaluating something different. The key is making eye contact with everyone, not just the person who's asked the question. Now let's take a look at these numbers. 73% of employers use behavioral interviews. This is the dominant format. 69.6% of hiring decisions are made in the first 90 seconds. First impressions matter enormously. And 47% of candidates fail due to lack of preparation. And this is completely preventable. Interviews are predictable. The questions are mostly the same. The companies doing the hiring have patterns, and preparation is the single biggest differentiator. Think about it. If you know they're going to ask about conflict resolution, leadership, and problem solving, and you've prepared compelling stories for each, you have a massive advantage over candidates who are simply showing up and winging it. Now let's talk about the STAR method. This is framework that will make or break your behavioral interviews, so let's break it down. Situation sets the scene. Where were you? When was this? What was the context? Give just enough detail for them to understand the scenario. During my practicum at Regional Hospital, this immediately establishes where, when, and what kind of experience. Task. What was your specific responsibility? Not the team's task, your task. What were you asked to do? I was responsible for training 25 staff members. This is specific and shows ownership. Action. What did you do? This is where most candidates fall short. They say we instead of I. They're vague about their contributions. Be specific, use I and not we, and detail the steps that you took. I created a phased training schedule, developed quick reference guides, and held daily 15-minute check-ins. These are concrete action-specific steps. Result. What was the measurable outcome? Numbers are powerful here. Percentages, dollar amounts, time saved, people impacted. We completed implementation 2 days early with 100% staff competency and reduced scheduling errors by 35%. 3 quantified results. Based on the example that we just heard, you can see how this star example fully highlights and answers the specifics behind the question, tell me about a time you managed a difficult project under a tight deadline. See how that response hit every element? Situation establishes the context. Practicum, new system, 3 weeks. Task clarifies my responsibility of training 25 people while maintaining operations. Actions are specific and demonstrate leadership, and results are quantified. Be sure to keep your answers between 90 to 120 seconds. Longer than that and you lose the interviewer. Shorter and you seem unprepared. Make sure you practice with a timer and record yourself. Most people either ramble too long or give answers that are too brief. You need 8 to 10 star stories ready to go. These should be adaptable. The same story about leading a team project can answer questions about leadership, conflict, time management, or collaboration, depending on which aspects you emphasize. So think of one accomplishment from your graduate program or work experience. Can you break it into a star format? Now let's talk about using AI to supercharge your preparation. Microsoft Copilot is free for all students, and it's incredibly powerful for interview prep. Before any interview, take the job description and ask Copilot to predict the questions you'll face. Based on this job description, what are the 10 most likely behavioral interview questions I'll be asked? Copilot will analyze the requirements and generate relevant questions. If the job emphasizes collaboration, expect collaboration questions. If it mentions fast-paced environments, expect questions about handling pressure. Use Copilot to quickly research the company. Tell me about XYZ company, their mission, recent news, challenges in the industry, and what someone interviewing there should know. This gives you talking points for why do you want to work here and helps you ask intelligent questions at the end. This is a powerful prompt. After you write out a star answer, paste it into Copilot and ask for feedback. Rate this answer on a scale of 1 to 10 and tell me specifically how to improve it. Is it too long? Missing details? What would make it stronger? Copilot will give you specific, actionable feedback, and you can do this for all of your star stories. 24 hours before your interview, make sure that you research company news, especially for the last 30 days. Review job description keywords, prepare 8 to 10 star stories, and write 3 to 5 questions to ask. Also, make sure that you take a look on LinkedIn to review, if you can, who your interviewers will be. On the day of your interview, review those star stories one more time. Check company news one more time, and be sure to arrive 10 to 15 minutes early. Bring additional printed copies of your resume and bring a notepad to write down any questions. When it comes to video interviews, make sure you test your tech at least 30 minutes before your scheduled interview time. Also, make sure that your background is professional and clean. You don't want any distracting laundry on a bed or dark imaging or anything that could be a distraction to an interviewer. You also want to make sure that your camera is centered with good lighting on your face and stable so that you can make consistent eye contact with the camera. And also, please note that it's okay to take notes, but you want to make sure that it's off screen and again, not causing a distraction to the interviewer. We also offer mock interviews through Career Launch. There's no better preparation than practicing with a real person who gives feedback individualized to you. Now let's take a look at some of the top behavioral questions you could be asked by your field. And let's get specific about what you're most likely to face, because different industries emphasize different competencies. Healthcare interviews typically include patient and family scenarios. Describe a time you handled a difficult patient or family situation. They want to see your bedside manner and de-escalation skills. If you're interviewing in healthcare, prepare stories that demonstrate patient-centered thinking, process improvement, and handling high pressure. Business interviews focus on leadership and decision making, like tell me about a time you led a team through change, because change management can be constant in business. Your case studies as an MBA candidate and team projects are gold mines for store stories. Make sure that you use them. Social work interviews probe your approach to practice. A common question you might get asked is describe your approach to working with resistant clients, because not everybody wants help. For MSW candidates, your field placement experiences are your best source material. For public administration, government, and nonprofit interviews focus on stakeholder management. Questions like, how have you engaged stakeholders with competing interests? Because that's the job. Education interviews are about students first. A common question might be, how do you differentiate instruction for diverse learners? Because classrooms are diverse. These typical questions are also going to most likely come up in just about any interview, regardless of your field. Tell me about yourself. This is a great opportunity to give your 2-minute elevator pitch. Or why this company and organization? Because this shows you've done your research and you're informed about the company and the role. What's your greatest weakness? Test your self-awareness. And where do you see yourself in 5 years? Test your commitment. So use this Copilot prompt to practice. Act as an interviewer for, list the job title, position at, list the company. Ask me behavioral questions one at a time and give me feedback on my answers. This turns Copilot into your personal interview coach. Now let's talk a little bit about handling difficult questions. Some questions trip up even well-prepared candidates, and let's break down how to handle the tough ones. Tell me about yourself is usually the first question and sets the tone for everything that follows. Most candidates ramble or recite their entire life history. Use the present, past, future formula. Presently, I'm currently completing my MHA at USI, specializing in healthcare operations. Past, before this I spent 5 years in clinical operations at Regional Medical Center, where I led process improvement initiatives. Future, I'm excited about this role because it combines my operational background with my interest in strategic planning. Keep it 90 to 120 seconds and practice until you can deliver it smoothly without sounding rehearsed. Greatest weakness. This question tests self-awareness and growth mindset. The wrong answers are, I'm a perfectionist. Everyone says this. It's cliche. Or, I work too hard. That's not a real weakness. Or, I don't have any weaknesses. This is arrogant and dishonest. The right approach is to identify a genuine area for growth, not a fatal flaw for the role, and explain what you're doing about it and share the results that you've seen. An example would be, I've historically struggled at delegating. I tend to take on too much myself. I've been working on this by explicitly identifying tasks to delegate in my project planning and building trust with team members. In my last project, I successfully delegated 3 major work streams, which allowed us to deliver ahead of schedule. Now, let's talk about salary expectations. You want to do your research before the interview. Look at Glassdoor salary data, Stepping Blocks, Payscale.com, LinkedIn Salary Insights, or ask questions in your network. Give a range based on research. Based on my research for this role in this market, I'm looking at X to Y dollars, but I'm open to discussing the total compensation package. Know your minimum number before you negotiate because you'll need to know what's the lowest that you'll accept it and what is the perceived value for this role in this geographic region. For any difficult question, pause. Take 2 to 3 seconds to think. Silence is okay. It shows thoughtfulness. Clarify. Could you tell me more about what you're looking for? This buys time and gets you more information. And bridge. Redirect to a strength when appropriate. It's also important to note what illegal interview questions are. Employers cannot legally ask about your age, religion, marital status, children, disability, or national origin. If asked, you can redirect, "I'm not sure how that relates to the role, but I'd be happy to discuss my qualifications for this position." You don't have to answer, and a good employer won't ask. Now let's talk about what questions you should ask your interviewer at the end of the interview when they ask, "Do you have any questions for us?" This is not a formality. It's an opportunity and a test. 47% of candidates are rejected for not knowing enough about the company. Your questions demonstrate your research, your interest, and your strategic thinking. Never say, "No, I think you covered everything." Always have questions prepared. This is a time to clarify your interest and knowledge about the company, but also to interview your interviewers because interviews are two ways, not one direction. When it comes to about the role, these questions show how you succeed. What does success look like in this position in the first 90 days? It shows you're already thinking about delivering results. Or what are the biggest challenges that this role will face? It shows you're realistic and ready to problem solve. Or how would you describe the team I'm working with? This shows you care about collaboration. For growth, these questions show long-term thinking. What professional development opportunities are available? It shows your commitment to growth. Or how have others in this role progressed within the organization? It shows that you see a future there. Or what skills are most to develop here? It shows that you're coachable. When it comes to culture, these questions help you evaluate fit. How would you describe the work environment here? Listen carefully to what they say and don't say. What do you enjoy most about working here? Their enthusiasm or lack of it is telling. And how does the organization support work-life balance? This is important for your well-being. Now, this is a power closing question, and it's gold. Based on your conversation today, do you have any concerns about my qualifications that I could address? It does two things. One, it shows confidence. You're asking for critical feedback. And two, it gives you a chance to overcome objections before you leave. If they say, "Well, we were hoping for someone with more X experience," you can respond directly. "That's a fair point. Let me share a relevant experience." Don't ask questions that work against you. Salary and benefits in the first interview is not appropriate. Wait until they make an offer. Anything easily found on their website shows that you didn't do your research. What does your company do? Consider the interview over at this point. And vacation time, it makes it seem like you're already planning time off. Prepare 5+ questions because some will be answered during the interview. Now, let's wrap up with your resources and concrete next steps. Remember that the USI Career Success Center can help you with interview preparation virtually and in person. The most valuable thing that we offer is mock interviews through Career Launch. There's no substitute for practicing with a real person who gives you individualized feedback. I'm also going to be including some resources to practice tools so that you can practice full AI and virtual interviews and get individualized feedback remotely. And remember, you don't have to struggle alone. You are more than welcome to utilize the resources in the USI Career Success Center to develop your confidence and your interview mastery skills. Now let's take a look at your 7-day action plan. On days 1 to 2, write your "tell me about yourself" answer. Use present, past, future, and get it to 90 to 120 seconds. Practice until it's smooth but not robotic. On days 3 to 4, develop 8 to 10 star stories. Cover leadership, conflict, failure, success, problem solving, and teamwork. Write them out fully and then practice summarizing them. On days 5 to 6, practice. Use a big interview or Copilot and record yourself. Watch it back. You'll notice things you never would otherwise. Is your body language confident? Are you saying too much? Or is your answer too long? And on day 7, schedule a mock interview through Career Launch with a career coordinator. Get individualized human feedback. It's the most valuable preparation that you can do. Thank you so much for joining us for this webinar. You are now officially interview ready. In part 7, we're going to be covering what happens after the interview when you receive an offer. Salary negotiation is one of the most impactful skills that you will ever develop, and we're going to make sure you know exactly how to approach it. So please come back and join us for Web Series 7. And if you have any questions, remember, the USI Career Success Center is always here to offer support and answer any questions that you might have. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you in part 7.